You've probably heard of the 100 Heads Challenge. Maybe you've even started or completed it. While the original idea of the challenge is quite simple, 100 portraits over 10 days, it has evolved and changed with time as each artist makes it their own, with unique references, materials, different or no time limits. And as I embark on this journey officially, I hope to share what my focus will be, how to tackle art weaknesses with a challenge like this, and where that fits into an art journey overall. Now, if you want to get into portrait drawings for the very first time, go ahead. Those 100 portraits in 10 days will probably be amazing and a game changer. My own approach is a bit different. I'd finished a small sketchbook project of only portraits previously. I'd started this before I knew about the 100 Heads Challenge, so to my dismay, when I checked, the sketchbook actually only had 82 pages for my portraits. But I also have a master study sketchbook with portraits featuring heavily, so I think it kind of evens out. Now for this either second or first, I'm not quite sure, attempt at the 100 Heads Challenge, I want to change gears and focus on where I'm at now in my art practice. Ask yourself, what do you struggle with most when drawing portraits? Is it proportions? Facial expressions? Do you maybe dislike your stylistic choices? Or when painting, struggle with color and value? For me, it's my stylistic choices I'm often insecure about, and I struggle the most with colors. For the second question, ask yourself, what do you love the most about portraits? Is it a certain type of character or look? Do you love the challenge of getting as close to your reference as possible, or a more expressive approach? Personally, I love when a face can convey an emotion, and when a portrait is part of an environment, maybe with dramatic shadows and angles. These questions are how you can define your own personal 100 Heads Challenge. Depending on what you want to do and what you struggle with, your practice might look very different, or you might gravitate to certain reference images that suit your art style and your goals. I'm not restraining myself to a single sketchbook for these, but there's this small sketchbook here that focuses on my love for portraits in a scene, by referencing movie scenes or photography with intense values. For exploring color and style choices, I'm sticking to master studies. Not exact copies, mostly, but I'm trying to find my own stylistic language to approach these. This will also be a wonderful opportunity to try out different art supplies, and I hope that there's something in here for you as I go through this challenge, be it pencil, watercolors, gouache, acrylics, or oil pastels. When filming, I sometimes forget that I should angle my sketchbook for better proportions of the drawing. But here I finally remembered. Later, while shading, I can lay it flat again. But the angle really makes a difference when measuring proportions. I did use a very hard pencil to lightly sketch in the proportions. You can see me measuring angles, testing out lines and then abandoning them, and lining up nose and eye corners or similar important landmarks on the face. But I kept it pretty simple before diving into colored pencil. I like having different textures, for example the Derwent Lightfast pencils, which are a bit drier and more precise than the more expressive Caran d'Ache Luminance. There's also this cool grey colored pencil that I picked up during an art shop visit in Seoul at random and somehow now dominates all my sketchbooks. It has a hint of blue-green color and is a perfect cool counterpart to all my warmer pencils. These are also ridiculously cheap next to the more high-end options by Derwent or Caran d'Ache, and while the textures are less interesting, they still feel soft and smooth to draw with. I'm curious to see if practicing in one medium, for example charcoal, will influence how I then paint in watercolor next, or if these different media develop independently. I kept the portrait for this video pretty simple, with a limited color palette of warm and cool colored pencil options. I'm sketching a study of Anthony Frederick Augustus Sandys' painting Love's Shadow, because I really like the expression shown here and the very simple color palette. But once you look closer, there's a lot of variety of the skin, especially with blue shadows, orange saturation, yellowish light and flushed cheeks. And I wanted to see if I could capture even just a little bit of that variety with my limited selection of colored pencils. Also, color is what I struggle with most, so I always gravitate towards references with interesting color palettes. That limitation forced me to make decisions. I could only decide between reddish, yellow ochre and cool grey hues when it came to the face. As I was using mostly my Derwent drawing pencil in terracotta, a Derwent Lightfast pencil in Mars Orange, and that cool grey pencil I'd mentioned in the beginning. On the one hand, that limitation forced my hand and made me more decisive when it came to planes of the face and their color, but on the other hand, I started to grate against it and constantly felt that urge to reach more realistic shading and couldn't quite get there. When doing studies, I often feel like this. There's this wish to create something beautiful, while what would teach us the most might be just a simple kind of breakdown of a color palette. A lot of my collected master study references are Baroque or pre-Raphaelite paintings, but I'd be interested if you have any particular portrait paintings you'd like to see as part of this. The same goes for my other sketchbook, which focuses on portraits in environments, movie scenes or paintings or from photographs. I'm always open to ideas and recommendations to push me outside of my comfort zone, and if they have those dramatic lights, colors and shadows, I'd be even more excited. If you'd like to join me on this art challenge journey, that would be wonderful. Don't be intimidated by the 100 part of it. I try to ignore that number, as the important part is to start, to experiment and be excited. If you one day end up with 100 portraits, that's amazing. If you end up with 200, even better. But also, if you end up with 10 portraits that you wouldn't have drawn otherwise, that's still a success. The numbers don't matter, but what you want to learn and practice and what that gives back to you does. While I have a burnt sienna by Caran d'Ache and a raisin shade by Derwent, this is where I really felt that my approach of buying just single shades that catch my eye is maybe not ideal. I was really missing an intense red or even magenta to blend with my earthier shades, for the lips especially. One color study I'd love to draw as part of this 100 heads journey is a CMYK one, so using only cyan, magenta, yellow and black. Possibly white if I'm using a medium like oil pastels or gouache. I think it would be an interesting challenge to attempt that with colored pencils, especially. I also want to go over different portrait drawing techniques and see how each of those work for me. Maybe follow some tutorials or art book advice, and if I can recommend some of that to you for particular drawings. I'm still learning myself, so I never feel comfortable giving actual art advice, but I want to share what I'm learning or what I'm struggling with, so that maybe it helps you as well. So this is my official intro video for the 100 heads challenge, even if I've already sketched quite a few heads for it and did something similar like the 100 heads challenge in the past. There's a balance of doing art for YouTube and art for just myself, or for work of course. Not every moment of the practice can be filmed at a well-lit desk and with ample time, or else I'd lose myself in the setup and planning of it all, instead of focusing on what truly matters, the drawings themselves. So while not every sketch I make for this challenge might end up in a video as a drawing process, I will try and share the whole journey. I will show all of them, even if it's just as a little sketchbook flip through before starting a new portrait. As I recently got myself a small set of soft pastels to try out, I might use the 100 heads challenge as the path to test those, but after that I'm just excited to see what catches my eye or sparks my inspiration. I want to improve my portrait drawings over time, and I hope that this challenge will influence how they turn out in my illustrations and paintings overall. In a way, that's where it really matters for me, because that's what I'm most passionate about, and these sketches are a way to hopefully get me there. Let me know if you'd like to see more of these small portrait drawings too. They're a bit tricky to film because of the size, but on the other hand very quick to finish, and I like the idea of hopping back and forth between different sketchbooks. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know what kind of materials or portraits you're most excited for.